actually really excited to introduce my team. We are going to be talking about some of the wonderful things that we're testing with AI and some of the innovations that we have done to streamline our process as instructional designers. So I'm going to add them to the stage and we can get started.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So as I mentioned, today our session is going to focus on how we are using AI to supercharge our instructional design here at LAPU, and hopefully you can gain some actionable strategies to try on your own. My name is Kenna Norman, and I will go ahead and pass it over to Matthew to introduce himself as well.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Kenna said, my name is Matthew. I've been here on the team as an instructional designer for about 1 year, and I transitioned over from K through 12 as a special education teacher. And then, like I said, I've been doing it just about a year. Alyssa.
Hello, thanks for joining today. My name is Alyssa, and I am one of the instructional designers on our team. I've been at LAPU for about 4.5 years, so I'm happy to jump right into this presentation.
All right, so today we are going to kind of take you through some of the decision-making processes that we went through to develop these tools that we're going to demo today. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the challenges that we were facing and then some of the solutions that we came up with to address those challenges. And then we'll go through a short demo on some of the tools that we've created.
So we kind of wanted to set the stage on why we came up with the reasons that we did and the solutions that we ended up with. Really, 4 things kind of prompted our new workflow with AI. It starts with program reviews, AI resilience, building courses, and really just having a small team. To talk about program reviews a little bit more, we have what are called PDCs. Thank you, Alyssa. For our programs, basically, there are program development coordinators, and they oversee the program. But we have only 2 to 3 per program that we have. 2 to 3 overall for all the programs we have. So it wasn't a lot in terms of being able to analyze one designated person to analyze each program. So we needed something to just go further in depth to look at the data, look at the CLOs, PLOs, what's going on with the courses, is everything aligned correctly? And then with the advent of AI, okay, how are our courses doing just in terms of resilience for AI overall? Okay, how are we using them correctly? Are we teaching students how to use AI within their specialized fields? Are our assignments AI resilient in themselves? Are students just copying and pasting? Are we actually doing a lot of critical thinking with AI and how to use that correctly? And then one of the things that was really tough for us, especially with a small team, is building our courses. So we use Google Docs to work with our SMEs and design all the content, design the course. And then we take that and translate it into our LMS, which we use as Moodle. And it uses a lot of HTML code. And this kind of ties in with the small team. We used to have a designated course builder to do that. And now that position's gone. So it fell back to us to build those, to put it inside the courses. And it was really kind of time consuming. So with everything else we needed to do, and then on top of that, we needed to build the courses in Moodle, fix all the code, answer tickets related to that. We were like, okay, how can we address this with the small team members that we have and change up our workflows so that everything is smoother and efficient at the same time? And we came up with these next solutions.
So for our solutions that we're going to address today, we have the 3 that Matthew just brought up, which is course design, which I'll touch on the next slide, and then Petra, which Kenna will touch a little bit on, which helped with not having a lot of our PDCs. And then lastly, Matthew will touch on some of the Nectar Assistant automations that he's been working on to help us as we build courses, because like he said, we don't have a course builder position right now. So we will jump in and each talk about those 3 things. So starting off with course design, AI has truly changed the instructional design world. So before AI, we used to work with the SMEs to gather information and then help them make any edits or adjustments from there. But now that we have AI, we're actually able to use AI to draft the course content, and then the SMEs then will review and revise from there. And then we used to, before AI, brainstorm with just the SMEs. But now that we're able to have AI, we are able to collaborate with both AI and the SMEs to help us create a more interactive and engaging course. And before AI, we also had to manage longer SME review cycles, whereas now we have faster feedback and revision cycles. So on the left, you can see some data that shows our revisions from 2023 to February of 2026. And since we were able to switch to this more agile approach, you can see that we're able to accomplish a lot more revisions than we were in the past because of this. So on the previous slide, I touched on how now as IDs, we are using AI to create the content, and then SMEs will review and revise from there. But there is a crucial step that is needed right before that, which is our weekly content table. So our SMEs will fill out this table, which helps them envision the entire flow of the course and how they want their course to look and be. So as you can see, they'll fill out the 8 weekly topics, they'll align the CLOs, add any resources needed, what discussion topics they want, any critical content points, and then lastly, are there any assignments needed in that week? So this is the job of the SME to fill it out and really envision the course. But as the ID, we are now able to take this, use AI to populate the modules docs and the assignments, which then we send back to our SMEs to revise, edit, and add all of those extra touches that they will do as the SME.
So jumping into the PDC challenge that we were facing that Matthew was talking about, before AI, we did have very few PDCs or program development coordinators. Usually those individuals would oversee the creation of a program, and then it would fall to the assistant dean to manage just keeping up on revisions and ensuring that every class and the program as a whole is up to date and current. And the way that they would do that previously is through program reviews. We still do conduct program reviews to take a deeper look at how students are performing and really the content in each course of a program, but they're not instant. That process does take time to complete, and every program is on a specific cycle for these program reviews. So if you wanted data right now that's current about the state of the program, you wouldn't necessarily have that unless a program was up for program review. And again, that is just a slow process to look at every single course in a program and determine what needs to be done or what edits need to be made. So our thought process was that we needed a solution to look at every course in a program and the program as a whole quickly and determine from there what actionable things we can do as instructional designers to either improve the course, improve the program as a whole, or really to kind of take some of that oversight and work off of our AD shoulders as well. And, you know, it's a lot to look at and think about and manage when you have several programs that you're overseeing. So that's really what Petra the PDC bot does. We trained her to look for a lot of specific things that we would analyze in courses and programs as a whole, and then to provide recommendations and kind of just an overarching priority list of what we should be taking a look at sooner rather than later. Of course, all of this comes with the caveat that there is a lot of human touch on that still, and it's not necessarily something that we just dive into what she says, but it's a great starting place for us as instructional designers to take that information and then collaborate with our assistant dean or other faculty members that are involved in the revision process.
And then to put together the life cycle of an entire design process, we have, like Alyssa was saying, we design with our SMEs, we design the course content. In the meantime, we'll do program reviews of each course and how everything aligns. But at the end of that, we need to translate all that into the LMS for the student to actually engage in. And this was really a pain point for us in terms of getting everything into the system. A lot of inputs were manual. So before AI, we had a lot of manual inputs for the Moodle LMS. So we had to go in there, change code manually, adjust things. Sometimes small tasks like changing a heading here, a link broke here, things weren't formatted correctly. And really, it was very time consuming, and it didn't allow us to spend more time on the design decisions. So how we wanted to design the course. Does this actually work here? Do we need a scaffold here? Is this a good resource? And it was very an increased workload for us in terms of our small team. And when we were setting things up, how we were formatting things, even though we have a list of best practices of how we need to set everything up, it kind of varied sometimes per person going in there, especially as we're training new people to go into the course who haven't done it before, because we no longer have that position. So formatting would be off here, off there. And so every experience was a little bit different in terms of how the student engaged with the content. So we had to go back and fix that on the back end sometimes. So a ticket would come in and that would just take further time. And so we thought, okay, maybe we could automate this process in terms of actually inputting the HTML code, doing all the formatting, and then just QA it afterwards. So after we starting implementing AI, the outputs are more automated. They're much faster. So it's just a couple clicks to copy and paste, and it allows us to spend more time on critical design decisions, a lot more higher order thinking, a lot more responsibility in terms of how everything flows together. And then also the consistent formatting. That really saves us a lot of time on the back end too, because we're answering less tickets in terms of, okay, this link's broken. Okay, this doesn't work. Okay, this picture here is messed up over here. Now we have to go back and fix it. And that takes the time away from the actual design that we want to do. So a lot of the manual inputs were removed, and a lot of that workload was reduced, and it gave us a lot more time to focus on the design, which actually sped that up and made it a little bit more efficient. So that was one of the things we really appreciated as well. If you can go to the next slide. I wanted to show us what we actually use, because we're using Nectar and we partnered with them. So the layout looks a little bit different in terms of if you're using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. So I wanted just to point out what the interface looks like, how we use it, and then we'll give a quick demo as well. So as mentioned, we are using Nectar. One of the reasons, if we look at point 4 on the bottom, it's a privacy statement. I really enjoy Nectar because we own the entire thing in terms of how it looks for and how it's applied to our system. It's FERPA compliant, so any information that goes in there just stays within our system, just stays within the university. So if we ever have to analyze student data, like for the program reviews, anything else, it's compliant. It's all the student data is protected. And then additionally, how we're computing everything and how we're having everything go in for automation is also protected as well. So on point 1 is just the standard name and title. And then we have our navigation. It allows us to do a new chat history, so we can look at old chats and compare. And then there's an analytics section, which I really enjoy. So we can look at different things and how it's working. And then just the middle of the screen, really, that's the main part. This one that we're looking at here is for our modules, our weekly overviews per course. So basically what we would have to do is we upload the documents. And again, this is for anybody who's coming in who knows nothing about the process. So like if we were going to hire a course builder, or maybe we need another ID and they need to start building, this is here for them to kick off the ground and get started running. So all I have to do is upload documents, click the conversation starters, submit the input, and they're good to go. If we go to the next screen, we'll show what it outputs. And so this is what, well, let me backtrack, because this is actually the training on how it's trained, and then I'll show you an output. Sorry about that. So there's different ways that it could be trained as a knowledge base. For us, we don't have to upload documents. Everything is done by the prompt instructions and how we train the bot. So if you look at section 2B, you'll see there it says prompt. That is the instruction base that we have. And because we do have a standard set for LAPU in terms of how the course needs to look, all the Moodle code is in there as well. So everything it's pulling from is directly from that prompt. It's not pulling from any outside source documents, anything else. It's directly from how we've trained it, which took a few iterations because sometimes it would hallucinate, and we could talk about it a little bit later. But it took a bit to get it there and to refine that prompt. And the reason I like that is because I don't have to continually update documents anywhere else. I could just update it directly within the system itself. And then for section 3, we're currently using Claude. We've noticed that works the best. That's the AI model we have. Instead of ChatGPT or Gemini, we've tested it with those. Claude seems to work the best so far. And then temperature determines its creativity in the responses. we don't want it to create anything. So we have it set on predictability, on very predictable, because I want that consistent formatting. I want that consistent output, so that when anybody uses it, they can go directly to the LMS and copy and paste and go from there. I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is what the output looks like. This is what I was talking about earlier. In the picture one, or section one, that's what it looks like. You have 3 main parts. It's the week that we have that we're utilizing, and then you can copy and paste it, or you can download the file. And then the HTML code is just right there. So if you don't want to copy the whole thing, you can copy sections as you need, which makes it easier as well, because sometimes instead of going directly into Moodle, I have to search for the section I want. It's right here for me instead. And then picture 2, that's what it looks like in Moodle. It's just the same HTML code. We just copy and paste. And then our final output is what it looks like in picture 3. As always, we're always QAing it. So we don't just put it in there and then we walk away. You put it in there and then you look at it to see if it's done everything correctly. And then you're also making sure it's aligning with what you have in the document to make sure it doesn't hallucinate. And then I believe that's it. We're in the demos now.
Okay, so I will do a short demo of what Petra looks like. What I have done for this example, we're going to look at a criminal justice course. And what I'm initially copying in here is just the basic information about the program. So this includes all the courses in the program learning outcomes. And then I've also included which course the program learning outcomes are assessed in. I will upload that, and while she's generating her first response, we do that because the PDC bot is trained to give us feedback on our mastery assignment. So wherever we're conducting a program learning outcome assessment throughout the program, specifically, it's in one course, but we don't want her to flag it where it should, that it's not in every course, if that makes sense. So we just have to let her know which courses each program learning outcome is assessed in. So she's giving us a pretty high level overview of the program as a whole. She is giving us some program-wide recommendations here with different priority levels. So that's something that we definitely want to take a look at. And then also some next steps here. So that's the part that's really helpful. And how I mentioned earlier, it's not something that we just, take as 100% the truth and then run with. It's something that we just use as a starting point for a conversation with our assistant dean, and kind of we can take these recommendations and then look deeper in the courses and actually see if these recommendations have weight and if these changes should be made. So just to give you an example of a course, I just uploaded the HTML file and the syllabus for Criminal Justice 290, which is called the police function. I'm just going to ask her to analyze this course and let me know what she thinks. So these are just some examples. She can give you a basic analysis of the program as a whole, just based on that information that I initially shared with her. Once you upload the actual content of every course, and usually I do the actual content as it's running before we make revisions and the syllabus. If you uploaded all of those things for the entire program, she could give you granular recommendations per course, but then also give you program recommendations as a whole wherever the gaps are, or if there are kind of major recommendations just across the program. So just to go through quickly kind of what this would look like per course. She focuses on CLO and PLO alignment. And as I mentioned, PLO, she will tell you about the PLO coverage in the course, but if there's a mastery assignment in the course, then she would give you more feedback on that. There is not a mastery assignment where we're assessing a PLO in this course, so that's fine. We're hoping that she's not flagging that there should be one. She provides a gap analysis here for us, and that's kind of where we're going to dive in a little bit deeper and see if those things really do need to be addressed in the course. She also provides an AI resilience review. So as you can see, two things here. She kind of rates the activities in the course. She's looking at whether or not the course is AI resilient based on these activities, but then she's also going to provide some recommendations for how to implement AI in the course if it's not currently in the course or if it could be done better in the course. Creativity and engagement. She will do a resource review, so kind of just an overarching review of the resources in there, how old they are, if there's broken links, if it's really heavy on one type of resource like reading, or if there are a lot of videos, then she will kind of note that as well. Then the last thing is career application and overall recommendations. So she has some priority revisions here for us based on this course, and then kind of just a summary of everything. So that is what it looks like for a course. And like I said, if you uploaded all of that information for multiple courses, then she could give you kind of an overarching program review. And she's pretty easy to work with. And it's nice because you can have a conversation with her and kind of bounce ideas off of her based on her analysis. But that is a basic demo of how she works. Matthew, it looks like you're all ready to share, so I'll put your screen up.
So I'll make this real quick because I know we have to do a Q&A. This is what the layout looks like. I already have the documents uploaded here. This is what our modules doc looks like very quickly. We have to ensure that the Course Builder Assistant works correctly. We do have to separate the title and the link. So it is a little bit of manual labor beforehand, but it makes everything much faster on the back end. So once we've uploaded those, currently we have to do it as a PDF. So we have uploaded those, and then you just click one of the conversation starters. So I will do output weeks 1 through 2, submit, and it's going to take some time to think. You're going to see it say no results found. That's because we're not using a knowledge-based document. So it's going to search through those documents first and say, oh, I didn't see anything there, no results found. And then I have it set up to do an internal decision phase for everybody to look at, because you want to make sure it's pulling from the right spots within the source documents that I uploaded for this chat. So I want to make sure it's pulling correctly here. If I see something wrong, then I know something's off and I need to upload the docs again, or I ask it, hey, why didn't you pull this? Why didn't you see that? Because then I know that the code block it gave me is wrong. So that's the first step that it does. After that, it'll give you the actual HTML code. It'll list the week, and then you can download the code as a file or copy and paste. For us, again, because we copy and paste is much faster, we do that. Week 1, then week 2. I'm going to go to one that's already done. So here's week 1, week 2. After that, we have it set up as 2 weeks at a time. The reason for that is because I tried to do it all at once. It was hallucinating too much. No matter what we did and how we set it up, it was too much for it to parse through, to truncate, and basically kind of pull all the right things. We finally got it to a sweet spot where 2 weeks at a time seems to work. And once it's done for the first 2 weeks, or really any 2 weeks, it will give you the next step and give you an actual prompt to copy and paste. So you just do that, copy and paste it in, submit it, and it goes through the exact same process. So weeks 3 and 4, and then same thing, gives you the next prompt for the next 2 weeks, weeks 5 and 6. And then once you're done with that, it gives you 5 and 6 in terms of the HTML code blocks. Then weeks 7 and 8, same thing, copy and paste, put it in there, and you're ready. And you're ready to go. And that's a very, very fast overview. We're short on time. So stop sharing.
All right, we can move directly into question. And if there are any questions, I know we're close on time here. Did anybody have any thoughts or want to know more about a specific thing that we shared today? I don't see any questions coming through, but if you think of something later, you are more than welcome to reach out to us either at LAPU or I know all of our LinkedIn accounts are up on the speaker page of the conference website. So if you'd like to know more or have a question at a later point, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Thank you so much, Matthew and Alyssa, for sharing. It's great to work alongside you and kind of innovate with these things with you. And I'm very excited. Oh, looks like we do have a question. What unique ways do you have SMEs use AI in your course design process?
I don't know who wants to.
Yeah, who would like to chime in? I can chime in on that. There are so many ways. It kind of just depends on the SME and the course content, I would say. Specifically in the design process, we encourage them to think about how we can bring in AI to the actual course. And that's kind of a foundational piece when we're filling out or kind of dreaming up the vision for the course. But again, it depends on the program. I feel like we have AI chatbots. In the psychology courses, we actually have students create their own chatbot, which is really interesting. There's lots of ways. Alyssa or Matthew, do you have anything off the top of your head that you want to add?
We do a lot of simulations. I know that for one of the criminal justice courses, because we're asynchronous, there are some limits to what students can do in terms of the field. So instead, we created a simulation where students can engage with actual persons. So like a police officer, someone in the administrative positions, where they go and engage with that professional in a simulated experience. So we've done that before. We've also done, like I said, chatbots. We've done simulations and case studies where they have to engage in an actual scenario. So in one of the public health courses, there was an outbreak of this disease. It was a new disease. How do you do that? And they engage in AI in these entire simulations. So a lot of this content and input of what it would really look like came from the SME and how to set that up and make sure they're doing realistic steps. And the AI is responding correctly as a professional would. So that's another example that we've done before as well.
It looks like we are up on time. But again, if you have any questions or would like to know more, collaborate, anything like that, please reach out to us via LinkedIn. I think that would probably be the easiest way. Thank you again, Matthew and Alyssa, for sharing. I appreciate you both.